Is that a bad thing? The answer is no. Will we have naysayers within our society? The answer is yes. We are the capital of crab mentality in the world. People have got nothing else to do but find fault. In some ways, you must become like Narendra Modi. In fact, the country. He doesn't give a damn about what people say. He goes on regardless. I want to leave my opening remarks with a tinge of humor. India is like the bumblebee. Aerodynamically, the bumblebee is not supposed to fly because of its structure. But the bumblebee doesn't know that. So it flies happily. The time for India to soar has arrived. The time for India to call the world its own has arrived. It is India's moment. And I'm saying this, as Amish Tripathi said, with humility, without a tinge of arrogance. Today, it is India's turn to tell the world that we can stand up and be counted. It is India's turn to tell the world that we are not a recent nation, but we are a civilizational legacy. It is India's turn to tell the world that you don't need to divide us because united we are. To say that Narendra Modi is pursuing a Hindu agenda, there is nothing more despicable than that. He was the only prime minister who actually talked about triple talaq when the so-called vanguard of liberal India, Rajiv Gandhi, actually overturned the Supreme Court's judgment on Shah Bano. The tragedy, Arnab, is we are very poor students of history when it suits us. I'm delighted that the Ram Mandir has been consecrated. I am a believer in the fact that it is time for nations to reclaim religion and religious identity, because it is the single biggest contributor to national identity. By erecting a temple, you are not threatening a mosque. It is these rascals who create this pernicious agenda who seem to suggest that it is by exclusion. Today, India is by inclusion. Let these people spread anything that they want. You and I and 1.4 billion people know that the essence of Hinduism is a way of life which embraces and signifies the overarching embrace of humanity. It is not about divisiveness.
Well said. Well said. I totally agree with most of what you say. But I totally disagree with you when you say that you don't give, what would I say? You don't, no. I will not, I refrain from repeating the same words as Suhel because he's more colorful than me. But you don't give much about certain body parts of mice, about what the BBC and these others say.
Basically,
but you see, there are many cohorts. Okay, yes, acceptable. Now the thing is you got to give it back. You got to remind these people that when the BBC closely followed the coronation of King Charles III, it highlighted that it was a very, very deeply religious coronation. So let us celebrate, the BBC says, the fact that the coronation of our king is a religious event, yet it was attended by Rishi Sunak, who's a Hindu, who read a verse from the Bible. Yeah. And when Rishi Sunak read a verse from the Bible in a completely non-secular religious event of the coronation of a king who's a defender of a faith in a so-called progressive country, the BBC says this shows the diversity and inclusiveness of Great Britain. I'm just pointing these things out, We need to take them on, Suhel. We can't be quiet. But the problem is, what about people within, like Piyush? Like Pankaj,
Arnab,
who are cohorts of the Al Jazeeras and the British.
Arnab,
What about Piyush and Pankaj? They're cohorts. They're part of the same cohort.
You haven't even heard our thoughts, and you have already.
No, you're an erudite anchor. Arnab, 1 minute, Pankaj, my friend, 1 minute. You're an erudite anchor. Arnab, remember one golden rule: never fight with a pig. You get dirty, and the pig loves it. So you don't need to take up every battle and fight every battle in order to win the war. Yes, Pankaj, I'm so sorry.
Okay,
please.
let's get a rebut.
It was not me.
Let's get a rebut.
No, all
Pankaj.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to whoever I interrupted. Simple.
Okay. See, attempts to cancel India are a long-held scheme of the Western press. It is not a recent phenomenon. It is there since 1947, since Nehru's time, Mr. Suhel said. Since Nehru's time, Mr. Goswami. Indira Gandhi also usually faced this bias. Rajiv Gandhi was also bombed by the fake news industry run by the Western media. If Narendra Bhai Modi thinks that he is feeling the heat of the Western media disinformation campaign these days, he is not the first Indian Prime Minister who is passing through all this.
Correct.
See, I don't fully agree with Western media narrative when it says the Ram Temple event evoked fear and painful memories. I also don't fully agree when they say that temple history is grounded in one of modern India's darkest chapters. I also cannot fully endorse the Western media hype that religious divisions are becoming more pronounced day by day for last 9-10 years. But a sizable section of global media has these observations, these opinions, these apprehensions. I feel my Prime Minister needs to introspect. He perhaps needs
Which
some
sizable
soul searching.
portion?
Very sizable portion of global media. I immensely support the celebration of Ram Temple construction, but I extremely oppose the way songs full of filthy and highly obscene
Okay, so
words
I don't
were
understand.
sung in
I
Lucknow
don't
in a program
understand.
near Chief Minister's
I don't
residence.
understand.
What would you call the dance with weapons in
I'll get
hands in Bombay
Sushant
with Jai
into it
Shri
along
Ram
with
slogans?
Abhishek. I'll get Sushant into it along with Abhishek. I'll get Sushant into it along with Abhishek. You see, Abhishek, when the Hagia Sophia, right?
Yeah.
Right. A church and a museum
Yeah, museum. Yeah.
was converted into a mosque in Istanbul,
Yeah.
and Erdogan led the prayers.
Yeah.
The Guardian said the Hagia Sophia has been reverted to a mosque,
Yeah.
which means they began with the premise that initially it was a mosque.
No, it was initially a church.
No,
For
initially a
1200
church.
years.
Yeah, exactly.
Then for about 400 years a mosque.
Yeah,
And then a museum for 70 years.
correct. But
And
then
then
they
it's
said
turned
it
back
was
again a mosque.
reverted to a mosque.
And
the
by-
word they used was reverted to a
Yeah,
mosque.
because they don't care.
But in this case, they don't.
In
But
this
when
case, they don't.
Indians are able to pray to Lord Ram in the much-awaited Ram temple, they claimed it was built on the site of a raised mosque.
And look at the-
look at the words they used. Reverted
Well, that is because of the rising
as
power of
opposed
the
to built
global
on the
south.
site of the raised mosque.
So touchy. They don't want to offend
that is-
Erdogan.
that is because-
Yeah, they don't want to offend Erdogan. They
Yeah,
don't want to
can-
offend Muslims.
They don't want to offend Muslims.
Can I
They don't want to
come in now?
offend Muslims. Yes, Piyush?
Yeah, I was just
Yes,
saying
Piyush?
this is because of the rising power of the global south that we usually attract more negative comments than the others because it we disturb the established world order and that is why the old divide and rule policy, though I haven't seen any Muslims protesting in this country even on
my point
22nd
is-
January and before that. So what is happening is
No.
that old
It's about
divide and
double
rule
standards.
policy.
It's about
and,
double standards, Piyush.
Abhishek.
Piyush.
Sorry.
Piyush.
Piyush, just bear with me for 30 seconds. I am saying it's double standards. The reason is, in the case of Hagia Sophia, it was an executive fiat by which Erdogan turned it from the museum to a mosque.
Into a mosque.